Hey guys, so excited to be here again every day at 4:30. This is what I look forward to all day, and this is an especially special Facebook Live for us. We are celebrating one of my employees, dear friend Cameron's 16th birthday. Happy birthday, Cameron! And we decided to bake you a cake. And if anyone knows anything about me, baking is my least favorite kitchen activity. And so it is true love if I have baked you a cake. But I do have trusty sidekick Alana with me today to help me out with this. But Cameron, we love you. From the bottom of my heart, I love you. Happy 16th birthday. This was going to be a big celebration for him. Still will be. He told me he postponed his birthday till the fall. So we'll definitely celebrate again in the fall. But it was the day he was going to get his driver's license and a car, and all of those things will happen. And I'm just sad they didn't happen today. So happy birthday, Cameron. This is your 16th birthday party. We are about to make you a FUNFETTI cake. This is a cake that Cameron actually makes for me. I hired Cameron to make this cake for me for my family's birthdays. We love this cake. So I texted him this morning and I said, hey, I've been thinking about that cake and I might make it one day. Can you send me, because I don't have the recipe. So thank you for sending me the recipe for your own cake, Cameron. I appreciate it. But we are making a homemade FUNFETTI cake, and we're going to frost it and we're going to light the candles. And this is all for Cameron. So I really wanted there to be balloons, and you know those big gold number balloons, like 1-6. I wanted those, and I actually had that moment of, let me head out and get those, and then I remembered that's not what this is all about. This is not about, the governor said very clearly yesterday, we're not going to the grocery store every day. So this was about us figuring out how we could do this with what we already had. So I've got my trusty happy birthday banner. It is affixed with duct tape. We've got lots of sprinkles for the cake. I've got my family's platter and plates that we use on birthdays. And I don't think it's any less special than if I had gone and gotten balloons. So I'm just excited to do this. So we're going to get started with this cake because I'm not a fan of baking, but I do find this cake pretty easy to make. Yeah. But it has some interesting steps in it that I wasn't accustomed to. So Alana is going to get this mixer going just on stir. And so let's pull this up. And I want you all to know, I don't know if there's odometers on KitchenAids. I would be so curious about mine. It is maybe destined for the repair shop or replacement maybe, so it's got a little rattle going on, but this is a well-used, well-loved KitchenAid. So she's just going to get this on stir. What's in here are our dry ingredients. How is that affecting us, Reagan? Is that crazy noise? So what's in here is flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt, and this recipe will be on the website, but we've got our dry ingredients mixed up in here. Is it terrible? It's pretty bad. So what we're going to do is drop in half a cup. Yeah. No, 1 cup.
1 cup of butter.
16 tablespoons of softened butter. And so we're going to drop those in one by one. Here we go again. Pretty bad. So butter one at a time is going in. And I'm going to let Alana continue to do that because I'm going to get the wet ingredients put together. So it's milk, 6 egg whites, and vanilla extract. And you whisk that together. Who said that?
Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. Whisk that together. I thought this was really interesting that no yolks, that it was just the egg whites. And it's not really asking them to be, whipped in any crazy way, just mixed. So she's gotten almost all of that butter incorporated, and what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a consistency, and we'll show you here in a second, a consistency that I am going to say looks like cornmeal, I guess.
Yeah.
But definitely if you picked it up and made a fist with it, it would hold together. There's plenty of fat in there. So she's got all of that in there. And then what happens is we go in with half of the liquid, or almost, you only leave about a half a cup of the liquid in there. So we're going to go in with that much of the liquid. And I'm going to hold back about that much. Now, the first thing I ever made was a cake mix. It was a Betty Crocker cake mix. I like box cakes, y'all. I'm just here for them.
And they're more customizable than people think.
Yeah.
You can add extracts in there, chocolate chips,
Yeah.
fruit, so.
This cake tastes exactly like a cake mix. This batter. I ate some batter earlier. Fascinating, and it's the prettiest batter. So we are going to get. So let's read our instructions, because I think you get that mostly incorporated. You scrape down the sides, you get the rest of the liquid in, and then it goes up to medium high for about a minute. Yes?
So at this point, we are going to medium high for 1 minute, and then we're going to add in the remaining half a cup in a slow stream as it's mixing.
So we're going to make a whole lot of noise right now, but while she's doing that, I'm going to review getting this parchment into the pans. I did this with the yogurt cake.
Yeah,
with the yogurt cake. So well-greased pans with parchment. You need all that insurance, at least I do for a cake. I'm nervous about cakes. Get all of that in there. So,
ready?
Yep. All right. Put the pan. That was really well coordinated. Now, I measured from the center, I put the point, measured from the center of the pan out, and then I'm going to make my cut right there. And then that is your circle for your pans. Again, we use that spray that has a little bit of flour in it. We spray, I spray under the parchment, on top of the parchment, all around the sides, like we're not playing around with that. So now I want you to pop this bowl off, because this batter makes me happy, you guys. This is, show the camera. It's like, Reagan, right there?
Perfect.
Okay, so it's velvety and silky and it's beautiful. Oh my gosh, it makes me happy. So we have a half a cup of sprinkles that I blitzed in the food processor. I will say this, your blender is going to be a better tool. I got it done with the food processor, but it's not enough volume in the food processor, I felt like anyway. It was just kind of like bopping around. But you just want to break them down a little bit. I felt like I might have crushed them to smithereens too much in the cakes that we made, and that the cakes were going to be tinted blue. They don't seem to be, but also, who cares? It's going to be delicious. Yeah. But crush up those sprinkles a bit for your batter. Ready?
Ready.
So she's going to move those around. This recipe calls for 3 8-inch pans, so you make 3 layers so that you've got good cake to frosting ratio, which is, I think, important in the cake world. And I have no clue what I'm talking about, but that just sounded good. I have 9-inch pans. So these are like little thin layers, perfectly fine.
I love that.
You could do two layers as well, but they cooked up really fast. And what Alana and I were so enamored with this cake was that there was I always get that dome in the middle.
I do too.
And I'm like, do you cut it off? Do you just make a wonky shaped cake? Like, it drives me bananas. And these things are flat. So maybe, I'm sure there's science there that I don't understand. So maybe the lack of the yolks, I don't know. But let me get this out of your way. You need to bring your pans over and spray those for the cake. And we're going to divide those. And I didn't do I should have weighed my layers to make sure they were even. I can tell that one's a little thicker than the other, and also took a little longer to bake, but again, who cares?
I would say I always eyeball mine.
We're going to eat some cake. So let me get this out of the way for you. Because we did pre-bake cake. I pre-baked cake before Lana got here because that's how much I love Cameron. I baked cake for him, and we are going to work on frosting those. All right. That looks really good.
It looks amazing.
So was Funfetti one of your favorites? Funfetti was like new-ish. I was probably a young adult when Funfetti was a thing.
I think any cake was my favorite.
Really?
I was happy with all of them.
Yeah. So this was a big thing a few years back. Christina Tosi, is that her name? With Milk Bar. She started playing around with funfetti and cornflakes and all of these things that are in milk powder.
Yeah.
There's a famous pie. They've renamed the pie. It used to be called crack pie, and that seemed a little maybe not politically correct, so I think they just renamed it the Milk Bar pie. But it was called crack pie, and I made that all the time, and it's a bizarre set of ingredients, but it makes it. You end up with the most decadent chess pie you've ever tasted in your life.
Ooh.
That's what it is, and it is.
Thank you.
And the other thing is that it is extremely unattractive. You know, it's one of those like ugly delicious desserts. And that was actually the pie that I made. That was requested by my son's high school soccer team at their senior game.
Oh, nice.
That's what they wanted. So I made that Milk Bar pie. Used to be called crack pie. But she brought Funfetti back to like high-end baking a few years back, and this is one of the famous cakes that she makes. Okay.
That's awesome.
So these baked up really, really quickly, 350 degrees. They were in there 12 to 15 minutes probably.
Oh, wow.
It was really fast. But again, these pans are a little large, and these are thin layers, but all of that's good. Okay, so we are going to, first of all, let's talk about the frosting, because we did pre-make the frosting.
Yes.
So you were a pro at frosting. You worked for a while
For
frosting.
Gambino's.
She worked for Gambino's and did cake decorating and frosting there. And you made literal barrels
Barrels of frosting. Yeah.
And so what I learned from Alana today is that I would have put the mixer up all the way high and wanted it to come together fast, whereas you had the mixer at a moderate speed, but you left it running for quite a while.
Yeah, you want to try and incorporate as much air as you can in there, and that's what gets you that. So this came from 2 cups of butter.
Yeah.
And then this yielded 6-ish
Right.
cups of frosting, and
Right.
that's all of that air just getting incorporated in there as much as you can.
So this buttercream is 8 sticks of butter, correct?
Yep.
4 cups of confectioner's sugar, and we were a little shy on our confectioner's sugar by about 2/3 of a cup.
Yeah.
So my immediate, and there's also heavy cream in it, my immediate move was to decrease the butter, and Alana said, actually, we're fine. We're just going to decrease the liquid.
Yeah.
So she backed off the heavy cream a little bit. But it whipped up really light and fluffy. There's no joke about 8 sticks of butter and 4 cups of sugar, y'all. Like, we're going to get a cavity today. But it's absolutely delicious.
It is. It's
So
beautiful.
I will say that it's not a ton of frosting. You know, when Alana first looked at it, she was like, could we double batch it? And I was like, well, I'm out of powdered sugar, and I'm not going to run to the store just for this. So we're going to approach this. We're going to see how we do. We definitely want frosting in between the layers, but we might go that naked cake approach on the outside. But we want to pipe a few rosettes for you all, because you may have a piping tip or be able to borrow a piping tip from a neighbor, and you don't need a piping bag. You can totally use a Ziploc.
Yeah.
And this is a really fun thing for kids to do. What's cool about it is you can practice on parchment or wax paper and just scrape it back up and put it back in the bowl or your piping bag.
Yeah.
And so that whole molding clay, that tactile fun activity for kids that I think is great, and you probably can get there with what you have in your cabinet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what do you say we load up our layers first and then load up your piping bag?
I think so. I think
Okay.
I want to see how we get the filling first.
Okay, all right. Take it away. So this is my family's birthday platter, chips and all. This is the platter that we've used since the children were born. Every birthday's cake is presented on this platter, and then the birthday person eats off the little plate. Again, chips on the edges and all, but it is the Milneck birthday platter, and that's what we're building Cameron's cake on. Okay.
So whenever I do the filling, it is absolutely okay to go all the way on the side of the edges, because that's going to help you frost your cake in the end too.
Okay. And I'm standing here. You could be speaking another language. Like, this is how little I know about this world, and I'm not going to lie. I leave this to the experts. I kind of don't care because I know someone else is going to do this for me. All right, I'm going to bring your next layer over.
Okay.
Okay, given the two kind of wonky shapes of these layers, which one do you want to use next?
I think I can do with either one.
Okay.
Because the frosting will kind of help us get it back to a place.
It's pretty super sturdy, too.
It's a very sturdy cake.
Yeah.
Whenever I picked it up out of the pan, I'm used to mine like kind of trying to like crack over when I hold them, and these were
and I was living on the edge. These were still warm when Alana got here today. So so you're just evening it out by adding like more mortar right
pretty
there.
Much, yeah. So my fiance said that he would hire me anytime to help afloat drywall, because it's almost essentially the same concept.
Yeah. And I realize now why we feel so weird today, because you're a lefty, and typically we're
swapped.
Yeah. So that's just a big offset spatula. I guess a butter knife.
A butter knife could work. I think like the backside of a chef knife, since it's flat, could maybe even get you there.
Okay. Yeah, but those offsets, I use offsets for not cakes. It's one of my favorite tools. But that is a great tool for getting that spread around.
I think I got this one at Hobby Lobby, and it was like $4-ish.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're ready for our next one.
That looks amazing. I'll let you do that. And let's say that did crack, and it is trying to crack on you on the edge there. So if that did crack,
push it back together.
So you would just push it back together and
put your icing on there.
Yeah, and let that be your glue or your mortar.
The same thing with the case. If you ever try to like flip out your cake and the bottom like suctions out, you can totally put a thin layer of icing in there. Try and scrape it off as even as you can, and you can even push it back in there too.
Okay.
And it will still cut the same.
Okay. So we're about to get to the part where we're going to try our hand at a little bit of decorating, but you keep going. I want to talk more about Cameron, because Cameron is turning 16 today, but I've known Cameron since he was 12. So I met Cameron. He was taking classes at Young Chefs Academy here in Baton Rouge, and he would come by the shop. My shop was located next to them for a while, and he would come by the shop and just pick up a few things, and we would chat. And then one day after I moved to my new location, he asked if he could help out in the cooking classes. And he was probably closer to 13 by that point, and his mom and grandmother accompanied him, and he volunteered. And then he was able to be hired when he was 14. So he came to work with me when he was 14. And Cameron's homeschooled. So Cameron's availability is different from most of the other kids that work for me who come in after school. So Cameron was with us a lot of times during the day. A lot of us are, his mom or grandmother's age. And so he spent a lot of time with us in the shop. And he's so mature and so smart, we would forget, oh wait, he's 15 years old, he's 14 years old. But Cameron wants to go to culinary school, and he's going to be really, really, really good at it when he does. So I want to stay close friends with him, because I want to go eat wherever Cameron works when he goes to culinary school. They're looking at culinary schools all over the world for him. And I can't wait to see how that unfolds for him. But Cameron is a delight and one of my best friends. And I don't know if there are many more people in this world who make me laugh as hard as Cameron does. He is whip smart,
Yes.
and can hang in there with sarcasm and dry wit, and I just love that about Cameron. So I couldn't let this day, no matter what was going on, I couldn't let this day go by without celebrating. I wish it could be with you, and it will be when we're able to do that reschedule, 16th birthday. But I didn't want this day to go by without acknowledging Cameron. And I'm so glad that Alana's here right now because my cake would not look like this. So that's pretty, I feel like we did pretty good with that frosting.
I think so.
We don't even have to go naked cake
No.
route. So would you call this your crumb coat, or did you go thicker than your crumb? So a
I
crumb
went
coat,
thicker.
explain what a crumb coat is.
So a crumb coat essentially is what you want to put on the cake to prevent the little crumbly parts of the cake getting in your icing and ruining that flat white base. So you would go in with your crumb coat, get it all sealed in. I like to go in the fridge with it to firm it a little bit before the second layer. It's not a necessary step. But yeah, it helps keep it white, essentially.
And then you come back with your frosting and your decorating and
Yeah.
all of that sort of stuff. But you seem to go maybe a little thicker than a crumb coat
I
at
want
this
a little
point.
bit thicker, yeah.
And we don't have time to refrigerate it and wait on all of that. And I tell you what, my husband's not waiting on a crumb coat. He's eating a slice of
I
cake.
feel like it all eats the same.
Yeah,
so.
right. So what should we do now? Play around with maybe some rosettes?
I think so.
Okay. So what we have here, this is a plastic piping bag. They are readily available at craft stores, big box stores,
They come in a
and
roll.
online. But again, we want to be careful about making those shopping trips and that we remember that this is about essentials.
Yeah.
So you can get here with a zip top bag.
Absolutely. You can even make a funnel out of like a piece of parchment paper.
Oh, yeah. I've
so
seen that.
There's several different ways you can get to where you can have a
Yeah,
piping bag.
yeah. So what she's doing right now by inverting it over her hand is she's ensuring herself against a big mess at the top of the
Yeah.
piping bag. So she's going to get some down there in the bottom, and then we're going to play around with some rosettes. So you told me at the bakery you guys actually piped your rosettes on
Wax paper.
and just stored them and then lifted it off chilled onto the cake.
Yeah, as you need it, you get your little dollop of icing on there, and you can just set them on there. And
Yeah.
that's if you're scared, if you're gonna like mess up your cake, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that because at that point it's solid, and all you have to do is just get you an offset, set it where you need it to go.
Yeah. And you said during the day y'all would just stand there and pipe hundreds upon hundreds of them.
Roses, balloons.
Yeah.
I mean everything that is pretty common with a standard like birthday cakes or
Right, right.
celebratory cakes.
Okay.
All right.
So then you push it down, get that air out of there, maybe get a little bit going.
I like to get a little bit of back pressure. It prevents you from having your hand cramping. That way the bag does the work for you and
Okay.
you don't have to squeeze as hard.
Okay.
So to do a rosette,
When do I get to put sprinkles on it?
right now.
Okay.
So I like to start from the center and then you make your way out. And you'll have your little
Nice.
rosette guy.
Nice.
I always go opposite end with it. That way you can get your kind of even points.
So Cameron is cracking up right now because he knows if this would be a hot mess if this was me doing it. No. And then can we do some sprinkles on each of those?
I think so.
Okay. Cameron is not one to hold back when it comes to sprinkles, so we want to make sure this thing is beautifully adorned for him. I've seen him make this cake and take handfuls of sprinkles and just crust the side of the cake, and then we just have to come in with a vacuum because of all that falls off. But really, really pretty. Okay, so we're gonna light some candles and tell Cameron happy birthday. We have 16 candles and one to grow on.
Should
Cameron,
I go right in the middle?
do it. Oh yeah. You want to put these in the center?
I think so.
All right, start lighting these babies without lighting me on fire. We're going to spare you guys the singing. We know that we've all been singing this song while we wash our hands. We're just going to wish Cameron a big, beautiful 16th happy birthday. And can't wait to figure out how we're going to celebrate when all this is over. But I couldn't let this day go by without telling him happy birthday. I know this is such a special day for him. Hopefully that car is going to be in the driveway soon. That driver's license is going to be in your wallet soon. And I can't wait for you to take me for a ride in your new car. And I am realizing that you're getting older and you're not going to be with me that much longer, which makes me sad, but also super excited for you.
All right.
We've got one right there. All right, Cameron. Happy birthday, friend. Have a great
Happy
day.
birthday.
He said I'm crying. Y'all are the
Oh,
best.
I'm about to cry
Me
too,
too.
so I'm going to get out of here. Happy birthday, Cameron. Alana and I are going to blow out your candles. Bye, guys.